Hey, at the end of the day, we all are trying to accomplish something cool, and if we're being honest about it, we have a quiet little pilot. I call it the pessimistic co-pilot that lives in our brain that is slowing us down. So if you want to accomplish something great today, I'm going to talk to you about the subconscious mind and why you need to shift your subconscious actions so you can change your life. Because let's be real, you're here watching this right now. You're thinking maybe this title resonated a little bit. Maybe there's something in what I said or what you saw that it goes, that may be what I need right now. And that little voice in the back of your head usually has a point. Usually has some kind of a trail you should follow. And now I do know, if you're like me, there's been times in my life where I had aspirations for something more, right? If you think about that next tier, the next access, and that's part of your life you want. There's something that's outside of what you have now you desire. And I don't know why you desire it. Maybe you shouldn't desire it. That's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about the fact that you want it, but on the journey to getting there, you found that maybe you haven't made the progress you want to make. Maybe you have been slow on the journey. Maybe you've been stagnant somewhere. You've been stuck at the same point for much longer than you probably should have been. And on the path to getting there, you're running into more and more walls, or what feels like more and more walls, or at least maybe you feel like you're stuck. There's this movie back in the day. It was called The Never-Ending Story. And Atreyu had his horse, and he was stuck in the mud. Like the mud was the course was going through mud, and Atreyu at some point had to like cry in his this bog took his horse away, but it was just stuck. And I think that sometimes in life we feel this way. And today I want to talk to you about how that thing might be something you can be in control of. And it might be something that you're not even aware is going on in the background. And it all ties to genuinely our subconscious. Now, we have a conscious and a subconscious. Consciously, I'm talking to you right now. Subconsciously, there's a lot of things going on. In fact, I have realized that most of our subconscious we call the gut, right? The gut feeling. What I believe it to be is where we are always having things go into our conscious mind, right? We're seeing things, experiencing things, feeling things, and it all gets stockpiled in the background there. And then what happens is we go back in that area and things sometimes poke through and go, hey, you're consciously not thinking about this, but I'm noticing all these things. You should pay attention to this. The gut goes, oh, yeah, I probably should. So I'm going to talk today about the 5 things that we can think through when it comes to shifting your subconscious mind and how you can have that thing in the background not only poke through more often, but also pay attention and hear it. But if you need to, really reprogram it because it's not always our asset. Sometimes it could be our enemy. So, first thing we want to pay attention to, number 1, is your subconscious mind controls you. In fact, 95% of your life, your daily life, and honestly, all behaviors and all reactions, they happen at a subconscious level. Right? I'm big in identity, and identity is essentially the sense of a subconscious, the thing going on in the background, because by definition, your identity is who you are when you aren't thinking about who you are. It's how you naturally flow through your day. It's the judgments, the opportunities you see, or problems that you may see. It's the way you view something. It's the way you feel about something when you see it. It's your mind when it drifts off into that daydream state, or when you're not trying to think about something. Whatever is going on, it's your identity and your subconscious poking through, and that thing runs in ways that we are completely, for the most part, absent-minded to. Things just happen. And so when these things are happening, the idea is to get to a point of understanding that we as human beings got to pay attention to it and actually reprogram it just a little bit. Now, there's a good movie that I grew up watching. And maybe you've heard of this movie, but back in the day, there's this movie, and it's this girl, and it's the whole movie's about her and her experiences with her friend. Now, I'm going to use this as an example, but I want you to grasp how it ties to the subconscious mind controlling. This little girl, she grew up and she was doing things like breaking her mom's china, fine china, and getting mud and burying the china in the mud. She's breaking things, and she always had this blame. She'd blame this situation on this one character in her life, and it was Drop Dead Fred. Now, Drop Dead Fred is an old school movie. If you know this movie, I'm glad you know this movie. If you don't, just grasp this. It was like this little girl, and she has white skin, and she has, dark short hair, and she's a good little girl, but kept getting into trouble. And every time she'd get into trouble, she'd say it was Drop Dead Fred. And in the movie, there's actually a character. It's this long, lanky white guy with the orangish, reddish hair and a green suit, and he was just always trying to create some kind of havoc and chaos and have her do it, because it was like her little, imaginary friend, but it was kind of like the subconscious, because it was driving her to do these things that really weren't things she should do. And so she got in trouble. Her mom put her on pills and all this craziness. And she grew up to be great and had some, situations in the movie. But the reality is we all kind of have in our lives sometimes that drop dead Fred. The subconscious thing that's going without our control, that's really directing and guiding our actions, our thoughts, our habits, and what we're doing that then create our life. So you've got to understand that one, your subconscious mind controls you. Then two, leads us to this aspect that our self-limiting beliefs guide us. And these exist in that subconscious mind. There's this way that I think about it is like a lot of our beliefs are stored subconsciously, right? And a lot of our mind becomes this state is creating our reality based on what's taken through these actions. But a lot of our beliefs are stored there. So if it's a limiting belief, it's a belief that you're not capable or you're not smart, or maybe you haven't done that thing, therefore you shouldn't approach that thing. Well, that becomes a limitation in our lives. And it creates a boundary that we don't always actually see, but we feel being in that boundary. You may not notice what's going on or notice where it extends, but you do feel yourself in an awkward, uncomfortable place. And if you step out of that, then all of a sudden you can see, like sometimes when you step past a boundary, think in your life, when you got to a new place beyond a previous boundary, it felt like a whole new world opened up. My kids have this game called Oculus. If you've ever used an Oculus, it's this VR system they have. And I first put this thing on, and it has you draw out this boundary with like the little hand, and you're drawing this boundary, and that becomes your playing boundary. And all the things you see in virtual reality happen within this boundary. However, the moment that you walk too far and step past the boundary, the screen changes. It's like you're looking through this veil and you see your surroundings. The little cameras on the outside of this mask. You see the room you're in now. And it's like this whole new space. You could have been you could have been on the moon, the way they have these things done. And you walk too far past the boundary, and now you see the room you're in. And that's kind of how it feels when you have these limiting beliefs. You believe you're not capable, it's not possible for you. So you don't go past the boundary, and we get stuck inside this space, and we get comfortable there. We know it feels awkward. We know we don't like what's going on here, but we get stuck here. And when you get stuck in this place, it's not until you get past it that you understand, like, oh, I had a boundary. And this exists in that subconscious mind because it's always running stories about what you have done and what you haven't done, not typically about what's possible. We don't program it at this higher level, right? So most of the time, we've got to be able to step back and go, there possibly is a boundary that we have, a limiting belief that I have that is stopping me from even pursuing that next step. Which leads me to point number 3. For us, these automated, unhelpful habits or behaviors, they are preventing us from achieving the goals. These things that are going on in the background, they are actually stopping you from getting what you want most. You're working towards stuff, but you're working in that boundary. So because of that, you're not achieving the thing you want. And what happens, which is even worse, is we give energy, we give investment, we don't get the return, we don't get the achievement, and we start believing, man, we're not ever going to get it. Or I'm not supposed to have that thing. Or because I lack the progress, I start to question my purpose. And so the idea is you really got to understand that these exist. And when you can unpack these a little bit and pull back, you can find that these are actually helpful and hurtful, right? They're hurtful if they're not useful. They're helpful if they are. And in this aspect of understanding the automation portion of it, we really kind of want that because habits can feel good if they're getting us to the right place. These automated, unhelpful habits, they are not going to feel good because we're doing something that makes us essentially, we feel good because the habit feels good to do, but it's leading us somewhere bad. It's leading us away from the direction we want to go to. So the idea is like, where can we pull back and look and see for the first time that there's an autopilot running, and this autopilot, when you're trying to go to the Bahamas, it's taking you over Antarctica. Like you want to go here, and this autopilot's being unhelpful. Now, again, I want to reiterate that the autopilot is useful, but it's not useful if it's going in the wrong direction, which leads me to point number 4. For us, it's about training our minds to be more conscious of what we think and feel and do. And what I mean by that is, well, the subconscious kind of flows, right? The conscious mind, the one that me and you are using right this moment, this conscious mind, we can actually utilize this in a way to program ourselves, to think through different things, to counteract the subconscious negative beliefs or negative thoughts by simply speaking out loud different things. This is why affirmations are big. A lot of people swear by affirmations because, well, you're now speaking consciously something in opposition of what your subconscious negative mind might think, or you're speaking consciously and out loud something to align with a positive subconscious thought or perspective. And if you can take control of that a little bit differently, it actually becomes something where you get more in control of this subconscious, non-controlled thing. Well, how? Leads to point number 5, which is the fact that you can actually reprogram your subconscious. So how do you reprogram your subconscious? The idea is if you have thoughts, feelings, anything that comes to the conscious part of your brain and your body, those things are coming from a place that is behind the scenes, behind the veil, right? It's programmed though. It didn't just end up being there for no reason. So how do we program it? We've already done it, right? It's already been taking place because of what's been seeded. Now, I want you to think about going fishing. If you go fishing in a reservoir somewhere, I don't know where it's at. We have one nearby. It's called the Lafayette Reservoir. The reservoir, in fact, has this area where it lets fish into the actual water. It's like a big tube, and they will pour a whole bunch of fish in. The fish then go out into the lake, and then over time, the fishermen come and they get the boats. We go out in the water and we fish and get the fish, take it home. You eat it, whatever you want to do. But the interesting thing is conceptually, you're not going to get a fish out of that lake that wasn't put in there. So think about it this way. If you are letting things seed, go into the water, right? And it's things that are, say, bad news. You're watching the news that's negative all the time, or having crazy negative conversations, or people around you are always gossiping, always complaining, always being problems. Well, you are seeding that lake of your subconscious with sour nastiness. So when you go to feed and pull out, right, what you see when you feed to pull out some kind of fish, you're fishing, all you're getting is negative thoughts, limiting beliefs, your inabilities, because you're seeding it with that. You're consciously putting things in there by saying, yeah, I can't do this. I'm not smart enough for this. I don't know how to do this. Or people around you are saying it, and you're letting it seed the subconscious. So what do? Well, you change what's going on in your actual proximity. You adjust what you watch, who you hang out with, what you choose to read. You change what is being seeded. The fish you are seeding into the subconscious mind, put good stuff in there. Put better things, have better conversations, be around better people. That what happens is when you go fishing for a thought or a belief or some emotion, you can pull out something great. An amazing, I don't know, I'm not a fisherman, let's say like a big mouth bass, I don't know, something like that, right? You get to pull out this cool, amazing fish that's a beautiful one, which is the one that tells you, you got this, you can do it. There's more in your life to go and ascend and aspire to. So if this resonated with you, think back and say, where can I make some adjustments in my life, your life, right now? Because if you can apply these 5 concepts of your subconscious mind, your limiting beliefs that actually kind of tie into things, automated habits, the unhelpful ones, then taking a look and saying, my conscious mind, my things I do can train a subconscious and train it, change your life. Because again, when you get that aspect of the background running smooth and it's in a positive direction, the autopilot's good. The idea is to make sure the autopilot's going where you want to go. So that's it. Those are your top 5 ways, or ways to understand at least, why you need to subconsciously shift your actions.